Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and I find myself once more drawn to the Fabled Lands. Now, it's been a bit of a while, hasn't it? And I must say that this appearance has no small part to do with the fact that in about half a week's time, the next expansion for the game comes out. Another piece of downloadable content featuring the continent of Akatsurai, which would be off here to the east somewhere of the land from which the inhabitants of Yarimura hail. Now, I would love to get ready for that. I understand that it's roughly a rank 7 area, and poor Vorga here is only rank 5. Additionally, I've barely explored Old Harkuna and Utaku. In fact, you saw my one foray in there on screen. I've walked along the road here and had about one random encounter off screen. And I've walked in here and had the similar encounter with the mercenaries and saw a different way it could play out. But that's it. I've been waiting for a good time to record, waiting till I felt encouraged and raring to go. I was going to do this a few weeks ago, but hey, here I am now. So, here is the plan. Vorga is here. I'll take a bit of time to go explore the lands to the west. Should she perish and fall, then I will have this save to fall back upon to then go head towards the lands of Akatsurai when they are released. And if she fares well over there, and gets some more treasure or wonderful items, maybe even completes a few quests, possibly even achieving rank 6, unlikely but possible, then that is magnificent and grand for us. Now, we do have something in the personal notes for Vorga, but before continuing I want to point out something very important. The personal notes are a wonderful, magnificent addition to the game. Let's load up a save featuring Vorga's ancestor, Lorga the Warrior, of legendary status even if he never reached a particularly high rank in the past. If I then open up the personal notes, it's Vorga's notes once again. So sadly the personal notes are shared between all saves. They are not character specific. So these are definitely player notes, not like a separate diary you could have running for each save. And for those of you not familiar with Vorga, here's a nice little introduction that I used to test the character notes. Vorga is a descendant of the great warrior Lorga. She even gouged out her own eye in order to wear an eye patch, just as he did in all the accounts she read. At least there was some mention of a man wearing a velvet eye patch, and Lorga ended up getting his hands on it, so he must have needed it, right? For now, Vorga has endured many adventures. She has vanquished a dragon, but she intends to venture westwards into the domain of Utaku and Old Harkuna. These lands hold unexplored potential that she wishes to discover. So let's go and discover it. She has drank a potion that will give her a bonus on her next nature test. And these last until the next fight, or possibly the next stat bonus, so we don't want to queue up too many of them. I don't know if the next stat roll will automatically expend all of them if I have multiples going. I think that lasts until the next nature test, or the next fight. Now, when it comes to belongings, Vorga has the suit of Volcanium Mail, which I believe was her reward for defeating the dragon. Or she got it from the smith god on his anvil out in the wilds. I cannot remember which. I wish I could remember because it would be nice to try and achieve it again with another character. She also has the man-beast's helmet, which does give her an additional 5 chance to block, but reduces her sanctity by 1, and that is a problem. She has an ebony wand, some magic lockpicks, and an enchanted flute. So these are both +2, this is +3. No special scouting item, no sanctity item. I would like to rectify that. I'm not sure exactly where I should go looking for those. I imagine that Marlock City, I believe, is where the House of the Gods is, so that would be one of the best places to go for an item related to sanctity. Let's look and see if she has any outstanding quests. Currently, all quests have been achieved. I could go to the Great Steps and seek out the broken mirror, the mirror of the goddess, return that for some sanctity. I'm not sure where there's a rank gain in the broken steps for a warrior. Oh, actually, no, I think there might be. Koshai the Deathless. But I think I'd like to head west into Utaku and, what's that land just there? To see what I can find. However, before I leave the fortress of Castle Ravane, I'd like to check a few things. In the armory, is there a... Okay. I have all of these skills so far, and there is no ability score boosting item that I can purchase here that would help me. I could travel by road down south to this settlement and cross what appears to be a lengthy bridge here, or up here to cross a bridge which would probably be less likely to incur a hefty toll. That being said, the marketplace down here could offer fine and fanciful items. I have explored this path before previously and ran into an unpleasant encounter. The High King's Seat sounds like a wonderful place to visit. Grendel Hall also sounds like somewhere I should go, however, so if I go down to Ringhorn, I may be able to purchase a scouting item or sanctity item, but I would like to head into the inner keep. The doorway into the castle keep is guarded by elite knights in gleaming gem-studded armor. They watch you narrowly as you approach, then slowly cross their halberds to bar your path. "What is your business here?" asks one. "Requires Paladin of Ravane title. Enter the keep." The guards recognize you as a champion of the noble house of Ravane. They salute as you go into the keep. The inner keep of the castle is a mighty fortress with walls several meters thick. Narrow windows admit golden shafts of sunlight into the gloomy hallway. Of course, as a paladin of Ravane, you know these ancient halls well, and there is even a set of private chambers set aside for your use. We have the chapel of the god Elnir, but we are here to visit the Baroness before we head off into dangerous lands. And as you can tell, Volga is no stranger to danger, with the scars on her face there and the eye patch. Sir Debrumas, the seneschal, takes you into the Baroness's court. She sits in regal splendour on the gilded seat of House Ravane. A gonfalon showing the black lion crest hangs on the wall behind her. Although young and slender, she has the fierce, unflinching gaze of one who is born to rule. "Why have you come?" she asks. "My lady, I come in pursuit of a quest." "You wish to serve this noble household?" replies Baroness Varna. "In what capacity?" "Well now, what do we suggest? We have already unmasked a traitor who wished the Baroness ill, We've also slain a mighty dragon that was rampaging across the farmlands in the northern part of her kingdom. Well, not kingdom, really. There's supposed to be multiple castles and knights and banners and bannerets, yes, and all sorts in this land. Making a map is probably not Vorga's strong point. Her scouting is not the best. How about spying on the Baroness's foes, since we are about to depart for foreign lands after all? I desire you to go to Utaku, says Varna. The Utakin are said to be steeped in decadence. I am advised they no longer pose a military threat. See if this is true. These speech marks are never opened. This could be a text bug to fix. Screenshot taken. You accept the mission. The audience is at an end. You bow and withdraw. Let's visit the chapel of the god Elnir. Elnir's chapel is situated on an upper floor of the keep. As a guardian of rulership and law, he is the patron deity of the House of Ravane. I would like to seek a blessing. If you are an initiate, it costs only 10 shards to purchase Elnir's blessing. Vorga is an initiate of Turnai, Lacuna, the goddess of the hunt and wilderness. Scouting, therefore, yeah. Now, there's a reason for that, which I will explain. Over here, we were informed earlier by some kind of fortune teller or gypsy that if we were to go into the castle down here on the southeastern corner of Golnir, we should make sure to be a worshipper of Lacuna first, and I wanted to test if that would be the case. There is a monastery of Lacuna up here. Well, it's not a monastery, is it? There's no monks, there's nuns, so it's an abbey or a nunnery, which is much easier to find if you are a worshipper of Lacuna. And so I've tested being in here as a worshipper of Lacuna, and it makes literally no difference. It plays out exactly the same as if you were not a worshipper of Lacuna, which is a little bit odd. And interesting all the same. Anyway, we will pay 25 shards for a blessing, presuming I don't have it already. We have a magic blessing, let's get a charisma blessing as well. You gain a charisma blessing, so that'll give us a bonus on a charisma roll. Oh no, blessings are a reroll, aren't they? I will leave the temple. And I will leave the inner keep. We can enter the Shrine of Turnai. From the courtyard, you can only visit the shrine of the war god Turnai. Turnai is the god of war. The idol in the shrine depicts him as a grim-faced warrior, jaws rimmed with blood, striding forth to do battle, wielding an axe and a sword. Rather like Gunnar Harmundason from Jarl's Saga. Great Icelandic piece of literature, that. Although there's debate as to whether the axe was an axe or spear. When it was originally translated into English, it was translated as a halberd, which literally did not exist as a weapon type at the time when the story is set, or was originally written down. So there's debate over whether it was a long spear, or a spear with a kind of long, heavy head, or like a Dane axe, like a 4-5 foot long, two-handed axe in one hand with a sword in the other. Even so, a formidable warrior all the same. Let us seek a blessing. If you are an initiate, it costs only 10 shards to purchase Turnai's blessing. A non-initiate must play 25 shards. We can definitely afford to pay, not play, 25 shards. And we will get a combat blessing. This is generally used out of combat. It's used for combat ability checks, not in combat when we're rolling dice. We now have a combat blessing. we should certainly count our blessings before heading off into a dangerous land. Castle Ravane is virtually a city in its own right. The inner courtyard is filled with stables, grain stores, pens for livestock, carpentry yards, and a smithy. Nearby, some knights are keeping fighting fit by charging with lances at a straw-filled dummy. Behind, another line of defences encloses the inner keep. The armoury in Castle Ravane resounds with the clamour of hammers on anvils. The artisans here provide arms and armour for the greatest knights of Golnir. You can buy top-quality equipment or sell anything you do not need. You know these ancient halls well, and there is even a set of private chambers set aside for your use. Right here. Here we can deposit things. Now, I don't like the fact that the game allows this all to go into some central stash which can be accessed from any dwelling point we are at. I really want things to stay where I leave them, because otherwise having everything magically transported with me feels like cheating. Like in early Resident Evil games. Actually, probably any Resident Evil games, but it still feels like cheating. So I will not make use of this stash unless I can find a way of organising or remembering where each one goes. What's this plus? Add a stash tab. So I could add tabs for every dwelling, arguably. You can travel south towards the coast or venture into the heartland of Golnir. Journeying by river costs 5 shards. Do I have a vessel? I do. It is in Wishport. I could travel by ship. That's probably not a bad idea. But if I do so, that would attract rather a lot of attention. And a paladin should be humble, especially one with an eye patch. She should be grateful for the use of her one good eye that she has. Let's take the road. Nothing to do with Jack. And we probably will come back no more frequently. You're on the road that follows the banks of the Rhys River between Castle Ravane and the port city of Ringhorn. You meet a militia patrol. The militiamen, a group of 20 soldiers and a sergeant, go tramping past with a jingling of chainmail. Their banner shows the black lion emblem of the House of Ravane, which is probably now displayed upon our shield, painted upon the surface of our beautiful magic shield. And for those of you who have played this game and are wondering how to obtain that shield, which is rather difficult to come by, I have featured that in a previous video in this very playlist, with a little walkthrough on how to get this shield. For those of you wanting somewhat more urgent information, it's to do with the inscription on the mountains up here, which a certain wizard you can meet in Sakara will tell you how to translate. Although you don't need him to tell you how to do it, you can just work it out yourself, which gives you instructions to go to this river. And you meet the river sprites, they take you to the source of the river at this lake. And then you have to follow a very specific set of instructions to get the shield. And if you fail, you're pretty much dead. I don't have a severed head to give to the militia. Then we venture forth to Ringhorn in the south. Ringhorn receives goods from all along the Rhys River, trading along the coast from Utaku to Yellowport and south to distant Ankong Konu. It is a very large, bustling city. You can buy a townhouse here for 150 shards. Ringhorn Market consists of hundreds of stalls crowded into a cobbled square under the walls of the Sheriff's Citadel. Well, let's go to market and see what unusual goods may be available here. Now, the Mermaid's Comb is available to sell here for 50 gold. The Mermaid's Hair was required for a quest for the wizard Estragon at Castle Ravane, I don't believe the comb is needed for anything, but I'm holding onto it for now in case it comes in extra useful. A holy symbol and compass are both available, and for want of anything slightly more useful, could be very useful. Hot Pursuit. When you cast a signature spell, you gain 2 action points, so that would be Stunning Blow most likely. Crippling Strike teaches you advanced techniques to further debilitate an opponent. There is no M in the word opponent. Damage inflicted by targets affected by daze, frostbite, poison, or curse will be reduced by 2 to a minimum of 1. Wait, reduced? Oh, dealt by, not dazed. Stunning Blow is stunned, not dazed. So I don't have anything that will benefit from that yet. So these 2 skills not overtly useful. Additionally, we have room for 2 more passive skills, however. I will, however, pick up this common grade holy symbol as an indication of her devotion as a paladin after all, and this compass, a simple navigational device, both of which will be equipped. Now, if only we could find ourselves a cloak, some magic gloves. We have come across magic gloves that were specially designed for thievery, something we should probably not indulge in too frequently, as it's not particularly her forte. And we have 2 crossbow bolts and no crossbow. For lack of a, there we go. I'm not going to purchase any additional bolts, and once those are fired I can either sell the crossbow or find something else. I wonder if I could use it as a prod with slingstones, with those bullets, with the gun thing. I doubt it somehow. And of course we have our enchanted sword and magic shield to fall back on. We do not have the diamond lance, which is something like +4. Anyway. Do we need to explore to cross? I believe not. We can literally just click right here. So I shall depart from the city of Ringhorn now, and venture across this land bridge where this tall, many-storied building, with its adjacent smaller tower, keeps watch, and many, many houses are cobbled together, and across the other bridge to the other side. Sorry, I was thinking I was playing sorcery and had to actually drag myself to the locations there instead of just click on them. You are crossing the delta of River Reese, and as soon as the hubbub of the city is left behind, a castle stands on a low hill close by. You come to the end of the bridge that marks the border of Utaku and Golnir. Is that a small castle? I'm not so certain. It could well be this up here. And we get a beautiful new music track. You are on the road that leads from Ringhorn in Golnir to Old Harkuna, and ultimately Utaku. There is a bridge here spanning the River Reese, and a cross-border military outpost. You are stopped by Utakin border troops. Old Harkuna is governed by the Utakin, and the border patrol consists of several middle-ranking soldier priests. They wear strange masks denoting their status and position within the highly stratified society of Utaku. Utaku is a theocracy, and the laws of its god Ebron are followed to the letter. You are allowed to pass. Do we know about Ebron and his many angles? I don't believe we do. I think we might need to head up to... I can't remember if we can find it in Saqqara or on the way between Saqqara and the Great Steppes. I think it's in Saqqara somewhere though, so we do not have the information now. Is it like Glory to Ebron and his 84 angles on 97 or on 94? I can't remember. Let's make a move. There's an old castle there. She's a member of a knightly order with religious leanings. It's a castle. She wants to go and see what it's all about. And I tried to drag again. You arrive outside the gates of an old Shadar castle. Ah, the Shadar, the ancient people. The castle stands unoccupied. No pennant flies over its turrets. No coat of arms is displayed above the gate. You see a peasant tending the moat, unclogging it with weeds. Oh, this reminds me of the Lord of David from Welsh mythology, from the Mabinogion, when everyone in the castle is magically spirited away by, oh, the enchanter. What's his name now? I can't remember. That's unfortunate. The Lord was slain in the wars, he tells you. Why do you continue to go about your chores, you ask? I pledge my service to the old lord. I pledge my service to the old lord, he says morosely. Even now I shall continue to serve him until the day of my own death. You continue on your way. Perhaps we shall find reason to return here in the future. I think I'd like that. We have the Singing Forest, which looks large and magnificent in scope. I like all the little yellow lights that light up when I mouse over the destination. We have the furlings. It just looks nice over the forest. Looks like the forest full of little flies and fires and little campfires. Warm and welcoming. So many friendly people. Or it's just full of mass loads of barbarians who want to kill me all. But that doesn't quite feel right. So if the countryside, the coastal road, and the furlings. I want to go visit the countryside over here, but the coastal road is practically on the way. But will that just... Yes, yeah, that's just an invitation to go back to the east. You are crossing the countryside of Old Harkuna. Fortunately, we avoided unpleasant event. The Hall of Heroes, what a magnificent name. This certainly has a feeling of an old, archaic place steeped in legend and culture, even if long forgotten now. Obviously, as a paladin, a theocracy is the place for her to be, and if she's to infiltrate and spy... Look, if she doesn't have to steal anything or sneak about, that's great. If she just observes and reports back, that's different. The Hall of Heroes is a large inn that spans the Ruby River. It is really a bridge that has been built up into a many-roomed river hotel, whose chambers overlook the crimson waters of the river. The Ruby River is red with rusty ore carried down from the grooves. That means do not drink it. That's like some of the rivers in Cornwall are practically red with rust from the Cornish tin mines that have, you know, the residue from your processing that was from the late 1800s and early 1900s up to like well, it's about 100, 120 years when mines were in use at least, but well, using those processes, you know, it's just corrupted the water and we're purifying it as best we can. And the research that goes into it is incredible and can be used all around the world. But that water, when it's that corrupted, you want to be very careful even taking a sample of it. Just try not to touch the water or let it get on you at all. Let us enter the hall though. There may be options beside merely resting. Perhaps we could pay some gold and listen for rumours. The Hall of Heroes is a cosy tavern, a welcome break from the rigours of travel. At one table sits a group of local farmers, at another a motley group of adventurer types, a mage, a priest, a couple of hard-bitten veteran warriors. The tavern keeper, a fat, barrel-chested, red-faced man called Beowulf Buskell, hails you from a bar. "Welcome, stranger," he bellows, looking you up and down with greedy-looking eyes. "You can stay here as long as you like. The tavern costs you 1 shard a day. Each day you spend here, you can recover 1 stamina point, if injured, up to the limit of your normal unwounded stamina score. And we have no reason to rest here otherwise. There's no events that will occur. So let's talk to Beowulf Buskell. I mean, Beowulf makes sense, but with the possible Welsh tie-in there, and this old forgotten land, that's almost like Wales before the revival of the Welsh language in the 90s, just, recovering its culture. Right, yes, let's talk to Beowulf Buskell. The innkeeper tells you about a hideous monster that terrorizes the local populace. It is called Grindel, and it has its lair deep in the swamp. At night, it carries off its victims and devours them as human flesh is its favourite food. Beowulf Buskell and the locals have put up a reward of 300 shards for the hero that slays this vile creature. "My potboy, Miski, can guide you to its lair," explained Buskell, pointing to a thin, sallow-faced young lad working out at the back. "He's spent all his life around these parts. Vorga is a heroine. She has slain a dragon. She could absolutely go to the Mixen Sumps in search of the creature Grindel. Grindel's Hall is even on the map, just sort of varish. However, I would like to talk to the adventurers and the farmers before setting off from that. Ask them why they are not doing it. They are a group, after all, and she is alone. You pull up a chair and join the 4 adventurers. They too are hoping to have a go at the Grindel, but are uncertain of the risks. It's all very well," comments a young enchantress whose name is Chrysia. "Being adventurers and all, but the trouble is, at least 15 so-called heroes have tried dealing with this Grindel, and none has ever been seen again." "Aye, that's true," growls an older warrior called Kimbrim. "And I've taken on some tough opponents in my time, but those are not good odds." Another, a priest of Elnir from Saqqara, judging by his attire, says, "And of course, no one has lived to tell us what Grindel looks like, or how he fights, so we're all a little unsure how to proceed." "Oh, is this like kind of like a fight club thing? It's like, we all go into Grindel's Hall and fight to the death, only one emerges to be the one who's slain." It's like, it's actually really, it's like the enemies are the danger we bring with us. I'll talk to the farmers. "Welcome, mighty adventurer," says an old black-toothed peasant. "You going to try your hand against Grindel the Ripper?" You ask if anyone has seen Grindel and how many people he has carried away. "Oh, he be huge and covered in scales, strong as strong can be, toothed and fearsome like a 2-legged dragon," says one. "Aye, and he carried off—" "Who was it now?" says another. "Well, there was... I can't remember any locals have been taken recently. Mind you, there was Faldred the Fearsome, that mercenary. We found his head on the road. And O'Braid the Capable, a mage from Dwemer. We found his body parts scattered all over the stable yard." Yes, starting to sound like this is an ambush the locals have set up to kill adventurers and nick their stuff and sell it for profit. "O'Braid the Incapable we put on his tombstone," they laugh uproariously. Well, I feel it would be a craven and cowardly thing to depart from this place without taking up this quest. This truly sounds like the folk are in great need, and I shouldn't let this minor cynical suspicion of mine, based on some of the adventures we've had earlier in the Fabled Lands, affect Vorga's optimism. You profess your desire to take on the challenge. The adventurers all wish you luck, and the Priest of Elnir gives you a blessing. He's not coming along? Oh, I wanted to... Oh well, double blessing of charisma? We only get the one. Unfortunately. Blessings don't stack. Miski leads you deep into the mixing sumps along a thin trail overhung with twisted mangrove trees. Clouds of insects buzz in the hot, sticky air until you're desperate to face Grindel the Ripper rather than the stinging, relentless bites of the midgets and gnats of the swamps. Dear foreigners, midges? Right, midges is short for midges. Not diminutive people, but the insect. Yes, in Britain we have an insect called midget. It's like a fly, a gnat, a wasp. It's a stinging, biting insect. And it's very annoying. Tends to dwell in swamplands. You come to the skeletal remains of a warrior draped over a tree. The skull has been crushed. Later, you find several decaying heads hanging from some branches. Eventually, you come to a clearing of solid ground. A large mound of earth has been heaped up, and a wooden door has been set in its side. Smoke curls up from a primitive chimney. "The lair of Grindel the Ripper," whispers Miski. He backs away and says he'll wait for 1 hour only, a little way back up the trail. The mound, a large mound of earth, has been heaped up. So it's not like a fairy hillock or something. This definitely is feeling very constructed and possibly... So if people were taken away by the Ripper, and body parts were left behind around the Hall of Heroes, which is no Hierot, I'll tell you that. Is it possible that they were heroes who've come down here, met the Ripper, and fled back towards the Hall of Heroes and been slain outside? It's possible. And I suspect we do not have what we require. You step forward bravely and call out a challenge. The door slams open and out steps a huge man-shaped reptilian beast. Its scaly skin is a greenish hue and its hands end in massive iron-hard talons. The face is like that of a lizard, with coal-black eyes and a red crest running from the top of his head all the way down his back and along the heavily muscled tail. In which case the scales are as described. We may suffer significantly from an inability to harm this creature. Our enchanted sword may not be fully up to the task. It may not take into account the fact that it is a magical weapon. It could just mean that he has a very high defensive value. "Oh, by Ebron's snot!" bellows Grindel in a booming voice. "Not another god-cursed would-be hero! Why can't you just leave me alone? Why do you people keep coming here time after time? What is it with you hairy, ugly little monkey people?" Grindel picks up a tree trunk by the door and hefts it like a mace. He glares at you. "Come on then! Though we don't have to fight, you know." You know. What does he think? What alternative is he offering to fighting? Is he just thinking, I could just sit there and let him bludgeon my head in and then he could eat me? Or I can ask why he keeps eating people. and he might say, I'm not eating people. Do they say I'm eating people? Yes, they say you are eating people. Why do they say I'm eating people? Let's go and find out. Curiosity and a desire not to have my head crushed by a tree are making me want to click this option. Grindle eyes you warily and takes a step back.
Balderdash, he rumbles. I wouldn't eat one of you lot if you paid me. All hair and bone. Anyway, my species is vegetarian. Always have been. Always will be.
And what about the bodies I found on the way here?
I've got a right to defend myself, haven't I? He blusters angrily. It's all a plot by that billowing Buskell. He sends people like you to attack me. I kill them. Have to. And he gets the tourist trade. Not to mention the gear you characters love to carry around. That Misky is always sneaking about, looting the bodies I dump over there.
He indicates a pile of bones in the corner. Turn around and fetch Misky, or attack Grindle. Couldn't I get Grindle to pretend to kill me and dump my body amongst the carcasses, and then when Misky comes to loot me, I could grab him by the wrists and go, gotcha! No, that would be a really nice, sneaky option for, like, characters with a higher thievery skill. Clearly with a thievery stat of only 4, Vorga doesn't think of something so tricksy. You leave the clearing carefully. Grindle lets you go unmolested, fixing you with a stare through slitted eyes. You grab Misky and drag him, kicking and screaming, to face Grindle.
No! Howls Misky unhappily. It's all a trick! The vile beast just wants to get you off guard!
Grindle leans on his tree trunk, gazing impassively at the sky.
Bah!
He mutters. I want to play along and see how far this will go before Grindle attacks me. Or if he's actually telling the truth. We're placing a lot of faith in the monster here. But that's just the kind of thing, you know... Vorga's just not sure. She's going to take off her man-beast helmet to scratch her head. And as her sanctity rises once again from the decreased value of 7 back up to an 8, she's feeling that rush of humanity coming back and thinking, yes, I should trust this creature. This is the kind of faith a knight of the temple should exhibit, rather than just blindly coming and accepting the word of those who would send me against it. Besides, constantly coming to attack this creature has not worked. Time and time again it has failed. It's time for a different result. I hope I do not overly regret this. Misky squirms on the ground fearfully. Grindle grins at you, revealing heavy grinding teeth, then roars a war cry right into Misky's face. The effect is immediate. Misky breaks down and confesses all. Everything Grindle has said is true. Buskell the innkeeper keeps most of the looted gear in his cellar, which he sells off slowly so as not to alert anyone. Buskell even murdered 1 or 2 locals in the beginning to lend credence to the tales about Grindle the Ripper, as evidenced by the fact that there were no memory of any local victims. After a bowl of fruit and a glass of wine in Grindle's rather simple home, you set off back to the Hall of Heroes with Misky in chains, intent on exposing Billowin Buskell for the lying murderer he really is. As soon as you walk into the Hall of Heroes, Misky, chained though he is, throws himself on the floor and cries out, "Help! Help! This one's in league with Grindle! They have returned to slay us all!" With oaths and curses, the farmers and adventurers leap up, drawing swords and readying pitchforks. Billowin Buskell eyes you through hooded eyelids and reaches for an iron mace he keeps under the bar.
Kill the traitor!
he shouts. You had best talk fast to get yourself out of this one and persuade them that Buskell is the only traitor around here. Now, fortunately, the priest here gave us a blessing which will allow us to re-roll this. Additionally, a potion of comeliness should help. There we go. Look at that now, that's just beautiful. You manage to convince them that Buskell is behind all by insisting they check his cellar. Sure enough, the hoard of gear is soon uncovered.
By Elnir, cries someone, there's a Braid the Incapable's cobalt wand!
Various other objects are recognized and the full extent of Buskell's infamy is uncovered. Justice is summary. He is hung from the nearest lamppost and left to rot. Miski's fate is to become a slave in the ox-driven ships of the Utakin Navy. You are given first pick of the items in the cellar as reward. You may choose 2 items from the following list. What have we here? A Shadar Scimitar. Combat plus 3, damage 1 to 9. That is a... okay. 1 to 9 will have a lower average damage from the 5 to 6 of the enchanted sword we currently have. A silver holy symbol, which would be very nice. Some selenium ore, which would be extremely useful up in the frozen northern wastes and is remarkably hard to come by in that area. Although in the quest that it's needed for, it's in the same location as the other thing we want, but it should be very nice to have. A cobalt wand for plus 3 magic. Some chainmail or 400 gold shards, or 400 shards. So I think I might be able to manage without the shards. The Shadar Scimitar and the selenium ore. Right, the silver holy symbol at plus 2 is not that unusual. The cobalt wand at plus 3 is better. I can obtain a wand of plus 4 magic in the Northern Lands if I take the selenium ore though, so this is a longer term investment. And the Shadar Scimitar as a different weapon, while having a potential for both higher and lower damage and a slightly lower average, will allow for more skillful play against more dangerous opponents. I think I'm definitely taking the selenium ore. And checking I have room for something else, which I do. It would only be 1 additional point of magic. And that's probably not going to mean the whole difference between life and death until it does. So I'll take the Shadar Scimitar, as I'm aware Shadar Sword is extremely hard to come by. And with that, I think I'm going to leave this episode here. We've had a nice little adventure in Old Harkuna, and it's gone well for us. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I do. Invite you all to come back for the very next one, whenever it goes up. For now though, I'm going to say goodbye. See you all next time. Cheerio everyone.